All right, welcome to the second part. Now, this part is, we need to have a better understanding, right? The other one just creating these assets or these objects. By the way, all my sounds and images are stored in a folder called assets. So here's my assets. I have the images and I have the sound that I play. Now, let's take a look at the first version of this game. If I open it, and let's take a look at it and see what we have. It's an HTML file document, and I'm assuming, again, you are familiar with HTML5. This is the CSS for the canvas itself, so it's centered, yeah. This is the body of the game. I have audio files, 2 audio files, one to fire and one when I have a collision. Okay, so I have my audio files here. And here is my canvas. This is the canvas that we will use to draw on the game. Now, if you're not familiar with what this talks about, go back to the previous lectures in this series and learn about the canvas and how to draw on the canvas and all of that. Now, I created these 2 objects. Remember, we created a game object and then a bullet object. To use them in this file, I basically use a script source and then where the game is, and same thing in here. So now I'm including external files called gameobject.javascript and bullet.javascript, and they will be available in my game. Now, in the script, the first thing we need to do, there are several steps. Okay, the first step, and I'll explain in the next game better. Usually you have game setup. You need to set up your background. You need to set up your structure of your game. We're using here maximum bullet. I've created an array of bullets because you need to keep track of these bullets, not only one bullet. And because you have many bullets, we're putting them in an array. Every time you fire, we add bullets to this array. There's a different techniques. Anyway, I'm going to skip that part here. For, performance is not going to be an issue because we're talking about a small game here. And then we have the number of bullets and the score equal to 0. This is needed because we're doing request animation frames. So you need this in order to do the animation. We're doing the browser engine animation. Okay, and depending on the browser, you request for animations from the browser. And so this part, you just copy and paste, and it's needed in the animation part. Here is my canvas. I get reference to my canvas. Again, this has been explained in the previous games. I create my background image and then the source. I create my sound audios, get the elements by ID. Here is sound 1 and M. Okay, these are my objects, the sounds. And now what I do, if you notice in this game, let me just show you. What do we have? We have the background as an object, I called it. We have these spaceships are objects, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and they are moving at different speeds, notice. And then we have the actually controller or my spaceship as an object. So if we go back to the code and take a look at this. So what is object 1? So this is my first object, okay, called object 1. And that is the one that I control. It is, when I first created, I passed to it the position, X, Y, and at the beginning, it's at the center of the screen, all right? And I give it the width, the size, the width and the height, and I give it the image that I'm going to use. So now, every time I need to create an object, all I need to do is that you pass this value and you have an object. The next thing I need to do is I create the other object, and those are the space monsters on the top. And this 75, 250, 50. It's a little bit big. And the position, no, it's position is 50, 50. And notice this is called object 2, and the speed is 2. That means it's moving slowly. This one is another space monster, and here's the position for it and the width and the height. Notice it is smaller. This is width and height is smaller in here. And the speed is a little bit faster. And to make it much harder, this size is smaller, the fourth object is smaller, and the speed is 10. So in this game, I have 4 objects. I have my spaceship, and it moves at the speed of 2. I have the monsters, 3 monsters, and they are moving at, so here's the 3 monsters, and they move at different speeds, and they are different sizes. So now it becomes easy. All I need to do, if I want to add more things on the screen, all I have to do is create more of these objects and then put them on the screen. Now, again, you could do this if you have small objects, but what if you want to have a lot of monsters? And that when we do the next version. All right. So in here, I check if I pressed a key or not. If I pressed a key, I call a function called the process key. And in that process key, I get the event. If the key is 32 and the maximum bullet is greater than 0, what do? I fire a bullet, right? So when do I fire a bullet? When I hit the space bar and I still have bullets. What do? We create a bullet object, different than the game object. Here's we have a game object. Here's we have a bullet object. This bullet object has to get to the position of your spaceship. I mean, you don't want it to be shooting from the left and the right. So I get object 1 x plus the width and divided by 2. So this is where I get my x, basically in the middle of the spaceship. And then here, object y, the height of that object. The height is not a problem, but where I start from the x point of the bullet, it has to be the center of the spaceship, my spaceship. And the size is 20, the height is 20, and the width is 5. So that's why you see orange rectangle going up. Notice the speed of the bullet is faster, is 20, right? And then because I am shooting a bullet, I stop any previous sound that is being played, and that's what I use, pause, and then count time of that sound, put to 0, and I play it again, right? So this is related to the sound. All of this is related to the sound. And what do? I add a bullet to the array. Remember, we have an array called bullets. So here is my bullets, and I add an array to the bullet. I'm sorry, I add a bullet to the array. So now what's going on here? Every time I hit, I add one to the array, and then I'll add the object to the array, and I decrease how many bullets do I have, right? Here's my cheat code. If the user press an A, obviously I don't tell him about that. I make my max bullets to 1,000. Now I have 1,000 bullets. Every time I run out, I press A, I get 1,000. Now obviously this is not right, but I'm showing you how do you put cheat codes in your game. What do we do next? This part here can be moved to somewhere else, but I'm going to leave it here. In the next version, I'll show you what it is, all right? So what are we doing here? I'm moving the object, and I check, did I hit object 1 or did I hit object 2? Because, and again, for this game, it's not needed because all you do in this, sometimes like if a spaceship hits you, you want to die. I mean, you can die, right? But this, you can delete this and will not affect the game, right? I'm actually going to delete them. All right. Now the game loop, this is the heart of your game. The game loop function, this is what keep playing over and over and over again. So what do? We animate, and I call this function every time the animation request comes back. And that is done by the browser, so you don't have to do like timers or anything like that. What do? I move object 1 to the right, I move object 3 to the left, I move object 4 to the right. Remember those functions that we added in the object game? So you can tell it, we can move it any way or shape you want to. You can even add it, you can make it go like in a circular manner or in a curved manner using sine x and cosine x functions, some math functions, trigonometry functions, right? So what do we do in this game object? Obviously, the first thing that I want to do, I check. I have many bullets in the array. I want to see any of the bullets in the array, is it alive? If yes, draw it. And in addition to that, I want to check, did it hit any object or not? Because if it hits any object, I want to increase the score. So what do? We check, is it for every object in that array, check is that, and I'm assuming you're familiar with arrays, right? So for every object in the array, is it alive? If yes, draw it on the screen and move it, right? So draw it and move it. In the next version, this is improved, right? You'll see it. And then I check, did I hit, this bullet hit object 2? I have 3 enemy spaceship, remember? Did it hit it? I increased the score by 1. Did it hit the second one, which is a little bit more complex? I increased it by 5. If I hit the small and fast object, I increase the score by 10. And at the end, we draw. So what do you do in the game? You update the positions, you check for collisions, and the game logic here, and then you draw again. That's the heart of your games. Animation, logic, drawing. Animation, logic, drawing. And then you keep on doing this until you finish the game. Here's the draw object. How many objects? I draw the background and my 4 objects that I have on the screen. 3 of them the enemy, and 1 of them is mine. All right. This we already done here. Bullet draw, so this is not needed in here, but either one you can take it out from here or from there, that's fine. It's not going to affect the game, but you can delete it from here or there, it's okay. Leave it for now, it's not going to do anything. In the next version, as I said, it will be better. So we draw the objects, all objects, my 4 objects and my bullets, and then I draw the scores in here. And the last thing, so all these are in functions. You know, this is a function called draw objects. This is a function, the game loop is a function. This is a function process key when I press the key. And this is the setup. So when I define all of my function, the last thing I do is that I start my game, which is the game loop. The game loop is this function right here. And then you keep repeating until you close it, or you do an action based on that. All right, that is this game. And then let me show you what happens with the game. If we go to the, if I do refresh, here's my game. This is object 1. This is object 2, the small easy one. Object 3, and this first one is object 4. So what happens if you can use the keys, arrows, left and right, even you can go up and down, but you can disable that if you want. You don't allow it to move that. If I hit the space bar, so you hear that sound. And if I hit it, I get scored, right? Not doing right here. Then as they get out, they come back in. I'm gonna hit the first one. You see the score increased by 1 here. If I hit these other ones, but they stay on the screen, right? The other one, the new version, they disappear. If I can hit the other ones, I will get better points. So one way is that you keep pressing and then I hit it, right? I run out of bullet, hit A, now I get 1,000 bullet, and then I can just keep pressing. That's kind of becomes easy, right? All right. So you can see how that it can be evolved into something more interesting. All right, I'm going to stop here, and then the last part, I'll show you the complex game.